Okay, so for this video, we're going to take a look at classes. So a class is just a way of grouping up a whole bunch of information into one area. So let's say we wanted to deal with weather. We've kind of been doing some stuff here already, right? We've declared variables. We've seen how you can put the variables into an object, in this case called weather. But let's actually make a class called weather. So we're going to put variables, we're going to put functions, we're going to just put everything that has to do with weather inside of this one class. So I'm going to comment this out. We don't actually need any of that. We're going to start from scratch. Good. There we go. All right, so we're going to say class, and we're going to call it weather. And then we're going to have some curly brackets. So everything that has to do with weather, we are going to put inside of those curly brackets. So the first thing it's going to want is a constructor. So I'm just going to type this out, and then I'll show you how it's going to work. So we're going to use these types of variables here. Let's just say we want those three. So we're going to have wind speed. We're going to have the day. And we're going to have whether or not it's raining. Okay, and then I'm just going to put these here. Did I spell that right? Yeah. Okay, so what we can actually do is now that we have this template set up, we can create as many weather objects as we want. So I could say, let the weather for Monday equal, so I'm going to call a new weather object, and I'm just going to give it those values. So let's say the wind speed is 10 knots, let's say it's Monday, and let's say it's not raining. So let's take a look and see what's going on here. So down on line 24, I've actually created a new weather object. So I've plugged in default values. So I've said I want the wind speed to be 10 knots. So what's actually happening is since it's going right to this default constructor function, constructor, and it's asking for a wind speed. So I'm plugging the 10 into that variable, and then it's saying this wind speed. So the wind speed for this particular weather object is going to be, in this case, 10, right? So it's just linking that to that. And then it's asking for the day. So again, the day for this weather object is going to be equal to whatever day that I plug in. So down here I've put Monday, which is going to go here, which is going to go here, which this is using to set. And then it does the same thing for raining. So it's nice and it's a handy way on just one line that you can kind of set up the whole object and get everything running. And now if I had another day of the week, I don't have to write out all of this again. I can just use it. So let the week Tuesday equal new weather. And maybe for Tuesday, the wind speed is 8 knots. The name is Tuesday, and let's say it is raining. So even though we're dealing with a different weather object, it's still going to follow the same rules. So I've got 8, Tuesday, and true. So let's actually print those out. Whoops, I forgot to actually print it out. We do console.log Monday and Tuesday. There we go. So I'm actually just printing out the entire object. So we should get all of the data having to do with Monday and Tuesday. So you can see it's actually created an object here, right? So we had an object up above like that. And if we had printed out weather, it would have looked like this. And now that we've done it down here, we're actually getting one of those objects as well. So it's just different ways of doing it. And we've got a separate one for Tuesday. So down here we print it out and we get all the values. It's very cool. We can also add functions inside of here. So let's say there's all kinds of different things we need to do with the weather. So maybe we're calculating the weather, maybe we're displaying the weather. We could just put those functions inside the class. So let's say one called display weather. And we'll do another called calculate. Maybe we need to calculate the wind. Maybe it's a bit more advanced. Right, so we can just start putting all kinds of different functions in here. Again, you don't actually have to write out function, just write out the function name that you want to create. Okay, so maybe for display weather, let's say we're console.log. So we're going to say weather. And then plus maybe the wind, I don't know. And so let's say we want the wind. We're going to want the wind for this specific object, right? So we don't want just any wind. We're going to say the wind today is, so this wind. plus let's just add knots so that it makes a bit of sense. And let's actually change this function to display wind, because that's what we're doing, right? We're not just displaying the weather, we're specifically displaying the wind. So it's a bit better of a name. Okay, so we got a couple functions here. Let's call out this function. Let's say Monday dot display wind. So we want to display the wind for Monday, and then we want to display it for Tuesday. Right, so rather than just writing out the display wind function, since it's inside of a class, we've actually had to access a weather object. So in this case, Monday and Tuesday are both weather objects. And then we've called the display wind function for that specific object. So we're actually going to get different values. We're going to get the wind today is 10 knots and then 8 knots. So Monday we put in 10 knots, so that's kind of stored in there. So when we display the wind, it's going to refer to 10. On Tuesday we put 8, so again when it displays the wind, it's going to say 8. So just a great way to create an object. So this is more of a template. We're just setting up how it's going to work. And then down here we're actually creating new weather objects, and we're just assigning values. So very handy, especially when your code base gets really big. You're going to want to use classes just to group stuff together. So we could even just minimize this, maybe make another class for the traffic or something like that, and just put it all together. I'll leave it there for now.